What's up, Lakers Nation? Welcome back to Lakers News Fan Report, your #1 destination for everything Los Angeles Lakers, where you get the most exclusive updates, breaking news, and in-depth analysis on our beloved purple and gold. If you haven't subscribed yet, smash that button right now, because what I'm about to break down for you today involves a critical decision that could shape the future of this franchise for the next 5 years. We're talking about a situation that's been quietly developing all season long, a player who's been proving doubters wrong night after night, and a front office decision that seemed impossible just 6 months ago but is now becoming crystal clear. This isn't about the superstars. This isn't about the headlines. This is about the foundation pieces that championship teams are built on. Stay with me through every minute of this breakdown, because by the end, you're going to understand exactly why this decision matters so much for our championship aspiration. Let me set the stage for you by talking about where the Lakers are right now as an organization. We're sitting at 10 wins and 4 losses, which puts us as the second best team in the entire Western Conference in terms of wins. That's not just good, that's exceptional, especially when you consider the brutal road-heavy schedule we've been dealing with to start this season. We've had to grind out victories in hostile environments. We've had to overcome adversity. And we've done it while integrating new pieces and dealing with injury situations that would have derailed lesser teams. This start to the season tells you everything you need to know about the culture J.J. Redick is building and the talent Rob Pelinka has assembled. The narrative around this Lakers team has been fascinating to watch develop. Everyone wants to talk about Luka Doncic and how he's leading the NBA in scoring at 34.4 points per game. Everyone wants to discuss LeBron James' imminent return from injury and what that means for our rotation. Everyone is focused on Austin Reeves' breakout season, where he's averaging 28.6 points and 8.2 assists, putting him in legitimate all-star conversation and maybe even early MVP discussions. Those stories are important, they're exciting, and they deserve the attention they're getting. But while everyone is looking at the stars, there's a quieter story developing that might be just as important for our long-term success. I want to talk to you about role players for a minute, because understanding the value of role players is what separates championship teams from pretenders. In today's NBA, with the new CBA restrictions and the luxury tax penalties that come with building expensive rosters, paying role players has become increasingly complicated. Teams are hesitant to commit significant money to players who aren't all-stars, who aren't putting up eye-popping statistics, who aren't generating headlines. The league has moved toward a model where you either pay superstars or you try to find bargains, with very little middle ground for solid, dependable rotation players who do the dirty work. This philosophy made sense in theory, but it's proving problematic in practice. Championship teams need more than just 2 or 3 stars. They need 7 or 8 guys who can contribute meaningful minutes in playoff series. They need versatility. They need defenders who can switch across multiple positions. They need shooters who can space the floor. They need high basketball IQ players who make the right play consistently. Finding those players is hard enough. Keeping them when they hit free agency is even harder, especially when you're operating under the financial constraints that the new CBA imposes on teams that are already paying luxury tax. The Lakers are facing exactly this dilemma right now with one of their key rotation players. This is a guy who's been with the organization, who understands the system, who's proven he can perform in big moments, and who's entering the final year of his contract. His deal is worth approximately $18.3 million this season, which makes him an expiring contract, one of the most valuable trade assets in the NBA. When a player is in the last year of his deal, other teams know they can potentially acquire him without making a long-term commitment, which makes him attractive in trade discussions. But it also means the Lakers have a decision to make, and they need to make it soon. The question facing Rob Pelinka and the front office is straightforward but complicated. Do you extend this player now, locking him in for multiple years and committing significant salary cap space to a role player in an era where that's considered financially irresponsible? Or do you let him play out this season, see what happens, and risk losing him in free agency next summer when he becomes an unrestricted free agent and can sign with any team he chooses? Both options come with significant risks, and there's no obvious right answer. At least there wasn't until recently. Let me give you some context about why this decision seemed so difficult just a few months ago. During the 2025 offseason, paying role players was one of the most unpopular moves a team could make. We saw multiple franchises get criticized for giving contracts to solid players who weren't stars. We saw teams get hamstrung by deals that looked reasonable at the time, but became albatrosses as the luxury tax penalties kicked in. The conventional wisdom around the league was clear. Don't pay role players significant money unless you absolutely have to, because the new CBA is designed to punish teams that do exactly that. The Lakers, being one of the most expensive rosters in the NBA, are particularly vulnerable to these luxury tax penalties. Every dollar matters when you're already paying premium salaries to your star players. And committing long-term money to a role player could limit your flexibility in future seasons. It could prevent you from making a bigger move for a star player who becomes available. It could force you into difficult decisions about other roster spots. It could handcuff the organization for years if the player doesn't live up to the contract. These are legitimate concerns that any responsible front office has to consider. But here's where the story gets interesting, and this is where we start to see why this decision might not be as difficult as it seemed a few months ago. The player we're talking about has been absolutely phenomenal to start this season. I'm not talking about just meeting expectations or playing solid basketball. I'm talking about exceeding every projection, proving doubters wrong, and establishing himself as an indispensable part of what makes this Lakers team successful. His performance has been so consistent, so valuable, so clearly important to our success that the front office decision is starting to look a lot easier than anyone anticipated. This player brings exactly what championship teams need. He's versatile enough to play multiple positions. He can defend wings and stretch fours. He can space the floor with his three-point shooting. He can attack closeouts and make plays off the dribble. He can rebound from the forward position. And most importantly, he understands his role and executes it with professionalism and consistency. These might not be the flashy skills that generate highlight reels or social media buzz, but they're the skills that win playoff games. They're the skills that allow your stars to operate in space, that make your offensive system function smoothly, that give your coach options in different matchup situations. What makes this player particularly valuable for the Lakers is how well he fits alongside our star players. When you have ball-dominant creators like Luka Doncic and playmakers like Austin Reeves, you need guys who can play off the ball effectively, who can knock down open shots when the defense collapses, who can cut at the right times, who can set screens and roll to the basket. This player does all of those things at a high level, and he does them without needing plays called for him or requiring a certain number of touches to stay engaged. That's incredibly valuable in today's NBA, where offensive possessions are so precious and you need maximum efficiency. The defensive side of his game has been equally impressive. In an era where switching is mandatory and you need defenders who can guard multiple positions, this player has proven he can hold his own against quicker guards on the perimeter and stronger forwards in the post. He's not going to make all defensive teams, but he's not a liability either. And in the playoffs, that matters enormously. You can't hide bad defenders in 7-game series against elite offenses. You need 5 guys on the floor who can at least hold their own. And this player absolutely meets that standard. The Lakers have also benefited from his professionalism and team-first mentality. In an era where players are increasingly focused on their individual statistics and their next contract, this guy has consistently put the team first. He's accepted whatever role the coaching staff has asked him to play. He's never complained about touches or minutes. He's been a positive presence in the locker room, and he's shown up ready to work every single night. Those intangible qualities might not show up in the box score, but they're the foundation of championship cultures, and you can't put a price on having guys like that in your organization. Now, let me talk about the financial realities of extending this player, because that's where the rubber meets the road in these decisions. His current contract pays him about $18.3 million per season, which was considered a reasonable deal when he signed it, but has actually turned out to be excellent value given his performance. If he hits free agency next summer, the market will determine his value. And in a league where role players with his skill set are increasingly rare, he could command significantly more money than he's making now. We're potentially talking about a contract in the range of $20 to $25 million per year over multiple seasons. That's a lot of money for a role player. There's no getting around that fact. It would make him one of the higher-paid non-All-Stars in the league, and it would commit significant cap space for the next 3 or 4 years. But here's the critical question. What's the alternative? If the Lakers let him walk in free agency, how do they replace his production? Do they think they can find someone in the draft who can contribute at that level immediately? Do they believe there will be a cheaper option available in free agency who brings the same combination of skills? Do they want to risk disrupting the chemistry and continuity of a team that's winning at a high level? When you frame the question that way, the decision starts to look a lot clearer. Yes, paying him will be expensive. Yes, it will limit some flexibility in future seasons. But losing him could be even more costly if it means taking a step backward competitively. If it means our stars have to work harder because they don't have the same quality of support around them. If it means we're scrambling to fill a hole in our rotation instead of building on the success we're currently experiencing. Sometimes the smart move isn't the cheapest move. It's the move that gives you the best chance to win championships while your window is open. The player I've been talking about. The guy who's making this impossible decision look easy. The forward who's turning in consistent performances night after night and proving he deserves to be a long-term piece of this. Lakers core is Rui Hachimura. That's right, Rui Hachimura is forcing Rob Pelinka's hand in the best possible way by playing so well that not extending him would be organizational malpractice. He's in the final year of his 3-year, $51 million contract. And everything he's done this season suggests the Lakers need to lock him up for the foreseeable future. Hachimura has been exactly what this team needs in every single game. He's averaging solid numbers across the board, but more importantly, he's doing all the little things that don't show up in the stat sheet. He's setting screens that free up Luka and Austin for clean looks. He's crashing the offensive glass and creating second-chance opportunities. He's making the extra pass instead of forcing shots. He's communicating on defense and making the right rotation. This is winning basketball, and the Lakers are winning because they have guys like Rui who understand what it takes to be successful. At the highest level, the fit with Luka Doncic has been particularly impressive. When you have a ball-dominant superstar who operates in pick and rolls and creates for others, you need forwards who can space the floor and punish defenses for helping off them. Rui has been knocking down those corner threes at a high percentage. He's been attacking closeouts and getting to the rim. He's been finishing plays that Luka creates. That symbiotic relationship between star and role player is what makes great teams great, and the Lakers have found it with Rui. Looking ahead to the summer of 2026, when Rui becomes an unrestricted free agent, the Lakers have to ask themselves a simple question. Do we want to keep this core together, or do we want to start over with someone new? Given how well this team is playing, given the chemistry that's developing, given the success we're having, the answer should be obvious. You keep the band together, you reward the guys who are contributing to winning, and you build on the foundation you've established rather than tearing it down and hoping you can find something better. The market for Rui will be competitive if he hits free agency. Other teams will see what we're seeing. They'll recognize his value and they'll make offers. Some of those teams will have more cap space than the Lakers. Some will be able to offer bigger roles. Some will pitch him on being a featured player rather than a complimentary piece. The Lakers can't afford to let it get to that point. They need to extend Rui before other teams get a chance to make their pitch. And they need to make him feel valued and appreciated for everything he brings to this organization. I want to be clear about something. Paying Rui Hachimura is not without risk. All contracts involve some level of risk, especially multi-year deals for players in their late 20s. But the risk of losing him is greater than the risk of paying him, especially for a team that's trying to maximize a championship window with Luka Doncic and LeBron James. This is not the time to be penny-wise and pound-foolish. This is the time to invest in winning. And investing in Rui Hachimura is an investment in winning. So Lakers Nation, I want to hear from you. Do you agree that the Lakers should extend Rui Hachimura? What do you think is a fair contract for him? Are you worried about the luxury tax implications, or do you think winning championships is worth the cost? How important is Rui to our success compared to our star players? Drop all your thoughts in the comments below because I genuinely want to know what you're thinking about this situation. This is the kind of detailed analysis and insider perspective you get here at Lakers News Fan Report. We don't just report the headline. We break down the decisions that shape this franchise's future. If you're not subscribed, Hit that button now and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We're going to be tracking the Rui Hachimura contract situation all season long. And you'll hear about every development right here first. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown. Share this video with every Lakers fan you know, and let's keep this conversation going in the comments. The decisions we make this season will determine our success for years to come. And Rui Hachimura is at the center of one of the most important decisions facing this organization. Let's go Lakers, and I'll see you in the next video.